Well, welcome back, everybody, to the Finders Flippers Reselling Podcast. How's everybody doing today, gentlemen?
Doing awesome.
What's up, guys?
What's up? How y'all doing?
Well, surviving.
Doing well. If I can stay awake during the podcast today, I've worked all day replacing boards on my deck. So it was about 100 degrees outside, and that sun took it out on me. So if you see me doze off, y'all just yell at me.
Say, come on, Stewart, wake up, man, get yourself together.
We'll know if we're really boring then.
Well,
it wouldn't take much to put me to sleep tonight, so it wouldn't be because you're boring.
Johnny, I like your background you got going on there. What do you call
that? Blur.
Blur. Are you trying to blur out all those things that you won't wear that you're trying to sell?
Just my death pile in the back.
Yeah, I call my background a mess. So
speaking of death pile, that's the very first thing I want to talk about. I'm glad you mentioned that, Johnny.
Right on cue.
I'm getting more and more depressed with my death pile. I don't know why. It's just I'm really wanting to attack my death pile, and I'm trying to make some sort of covenant with myself on how to wean through it. I don't know if I'm gonna try my best to do at least 5 a day, and chip away at it. What about your all's death piles? I know we've talked about it before we scratch the surface, but what about your all's death piles? Where are you all at with them?
Well, first off, I call mine a money mountain. I don't call it a death pile. I got that from the ladies of Consignment Chat. They have a really good YouTube channel, and just puts a positive spin on it rather than a death pile. You look at it, and I mean it's true. Amy and I did a garage cleanout video. It's been a while back, and one day we're going to do part 2 of it. We've just been busy every weekend, but I mean a lot of that stuff that had been sitting out there for a while, listed it, and a lot of it sold immediately. So it's literally like you have $100 bill, a $50 bill, a $20 bill just sitting in your garage. But yeah, I mean I definitely have it too, Wes. And I mean my problem is, I'm continuously listing, but I'm continuously bringing in stuff as well. And I don't ever turn down sourcing opportunities. I know that some people, like if they're money mountains or death piles or whatever we want to call them, gets too big, they'll quit sourcing. But, you never know when something like COVID's going to hit again, or just, anything that's going to cause sourcing to dry up. So, I mean, I look at it. Yeah. I mean, would I prefer not to have as big of money mountains as I do? Absolutely. But on the flip side of that, I know when COVID hit and a lot of people are having trouble sourcing, I mean, I just went out to my garage and sourced stuff out of there. So you can kind of put a positive spin on it too, I think. So,
well, and I have these big intentions. Of course, Johnny, you'll understand where I'm coming from on this. You start out your regular work day, and during the day, at some point, you're like, man, today I'm gonna get home and I'm gonna do this, and this. When I get home, it just don't happen.
Yeah, and we have Wes, like you, in the scheme of things, we didn't start this that long ago, right? So right. We have they may be money mountains for you, Stu, but for us, they're mistakes. They're mistake mountain. And so it's a lot of stuff we sourced early, learned, because we do predominantly clothing, right? So learning brands and things like that. So a lot of it's that. And then Frizzy does porch pickups, and she'll put on like the local next door app, like, hey, if you're looking to get rid of clothes, but you can't make it to the thrift, to Goodwill to drop off, we'll pick it up. So she does those, and then she'll source through them, and whatever she doesn't want will ideally just go to Goodwill. But a lot of it just kind of sits here in piles. So I actually made it a focus last weekend, and I put together 3 garbage bags of clothes that needed to just go to the Goodwill. But I pulled like 6 or 7 things out that I listed, and like we sold a pair of Nike shorts for like $15 that have just been sitting down here forever, sold in 2 days. So there's definitely money even in the mistake mountains.
Yeah.
You just got to get it up. The problem is you're not excited about it. Like once it's been sitting there for a long time, you're not excited about it. Like you want new.
Yeah, and one thing I am guilty of doing is, if I buy out a whole estate, for example, you tend to cherry pick the stuff that's exciting and easy to sell and going to bring a lot of money. So then you end up with stuff that, you're going to make money off of it, but yeah, it's not as exciting to sell. It's tedious to list. It's whatever, any number of reasons. And the strategy Amy and I used whenever we kind of divided the garage into quadrants, and quadrants may be being generous. It was probably a smaller area than a quadrant, but we tackled this one area in the video, and we literally just we built 3 piles out of the pile we were cleaning out. It was, we're going to sell this, and if we put it in that pile, basically I had to list it within a couple of days after we finished. We're going to donate it to a thrift shop or something like that, or we're just going to get rid of it and take it to the dump. And as we pulled it, everything went in one of those 3 piles. So obviously the thrift shop and the junk pile were easy. We went to the dump that day, we went to the thrift shop that day, and so that stuff was out of the garage. And I am proud of myself. That area itself that we cleaned out stayed clean. Now I haven't touched the rest of the garage. Some of that's intentional because Amy and I want to do another video about it, so I haven't been out there like cherry picking stuff out of those. But we're going to use that same strategy when we get to the rest of the garage as well. So,
well, I tend to forget those treasures. You pick them up and you're like, oh man, this is going to be a great sale, and you come home on a Saturday afternoon, you lay it down, and then I look over and it's Thursday and I'm like, what's in the bag? I'm like, oh, I completely forgot. Let me give you an example. Okay. This was a find this weekend. Check this one out. Oh, it's called Basket. It's an old basketball game.
I remember that. Is that the one that's what's it look like? Has it got the little flipper thing?
Hang on, I'll show you.
Is it like a little dome or whatever?
It's got these things on the ends right here. See them?
Okay. Yeah, that's not exactly
you keep the score. You keep the score up here. You see how you click it?
Yep.
But man, it was a nice little find. It's obviously it's vintage. So, but I just set it off the side. I think it's it says 1961. So, that's a neat little find. And being a referee, I'm just like, I'm going to jump all over that.
Thing looks like it's in better shape than I am, and it's 6 years older than me.
Yeah. It's in great shape. Johnny, where'd you take off to, my friend?
I tried to stream this to my audience and they kicked me out.
Uh-oh. Wes was just showing us the game he found this weekend. It was
I saw it the whole time. Game. I was backstage behind the curtain, but I saw it.
Okay.
Let's pull you out from behind the curtain. Here it is. Yes, so ladies and gentlemen, it's Basket. Yes, you too can have your very own basket game for the low price. Let's get Johnny from behind the curtain, shall we?
So that's kind of like remember the little football players that you hit in the head and kick the ball.
Yeah.
Frizzy found a pair of Chanel sandals that resell for like $300 to $350, but they were dirty. So she brought them home from the bins. They sat on our dryer for weeks. Hundreds of dollars in a pair of shoes because she was excited to find them, but she wasn't excited to clean them. So they literally just sat there. Like if you're not excited about it, it almost doesn't even matter what it's worth. It falls.
Well, my memory is not very good, especially at the end of a work day. And here's a prime example of it. I got home today and I was telling you about, I had to look through 3 different bags that I had stuff. And I was like, oh yeah, it's just like I was seeing it for the first time. I was like, when did I buy this? It was just this past weekend, and we had actually, Stewart went back over to Ambets in West Knoxville. And I've got a quick 4-minute video coming out that I'm going to put out soon that we made a little trip around the little store there. But it's just things that we source, and I completely forget it. I'm not trying to, but I was on my Slim Flippers podcast the other night, and Jimmy, Old School Flips, he made a very great point to me. He was talking about how you need to look at your store as a physical store, your death pile and all that kind of stuff. And that kind of resonated with, I'm like, you know what, he's right. Because if you only work it for, an hour or whatever, you're going to fail.
Yep.
And I've been thinking really hard about that. I'm like, I don't work my store like I need to be working my store, So I'm going to try in earnest to get my death pile together. That's one of my major goals between now and the next time we talk. I hope I've got some good news to share.
Wes, I wonder if some of that is, our conversation from last week about being part-time.
I'm sure a lot of it is.
You know what I mean? There's not that same, like, if that shirt sits there, like, it's stupid, but like, they really, whatever, it sits there versus like, no, this is my life. And that's why, like, we watch a lot of YouTube, and like these guys will go to the thrift store and they're like, hey, I have this shirt. It's $5. I can get 15 to 20 for it. And like Frizzy and I look at each other like, no freaking way, not doing it. But if that's your life and you're doing that 20 times over, you got to get it up. But we know if we ever sourced like that, it would sit and just build up in piles because you wouldn't be excited about it.
Very true. That's very true.
Yeah, and I do feel like once we got that spot in the garage cleaned out, I've done a really good job, like since that point, of keeping up. Like I really haven't let anything else build up. I mean, the garage is still there and it's going to be there till we get to it. But for the most part, I don't have a lot of other stuff sitting around. I mean, I got some boxes of ephemera that I bought, like bulk ephemera, but that I don't really look at that as a death pile or money mountain as much because it's inventory to pull from for future whatnot shows. And like I got a huge box of stock certificates, a huge box of 1800s handwritten letters, and then some other things like that are, sitting around. But I mean, every show I'll pull 10, 15 out and sell them. So they're probably going to be there a while. But yeah, overall, I've done a pretty good job, I feel anyway, of like I got everything pulled out that I got at the estate sale over the weekend. Which, I mean, y'all were talking about some of the stuff you found, or you were talking about some stuff you found, Wes. I did find some really cool books this weekend. In fact, everything, my best sell of the week and my best finds of the week both happen to be books. I sold, speaking of AMVETs, I'd picked up, I think it was called The Book House, and it was basically a set of children's like storybooks. Like one was fairy themed, one was whatever theme, nursery rhymes, and it was 12 of them. Of course, all of AMVET's books are 79 cents. So I paid whatever 12 times 79. I don't have my spreadsheet in front of me to calculate that, but I sold them on Etsy for 125 for the set. So, that was a good sale of books. And then actually at an estate sale on Friday, I picked up this book from 1738, and it's the history of the British Civil War and Rebellion. And it's like full of these really cool etchings. So I think there's 27 etchings in the book. And, this particular estate sale, all their books are $2. They don't really like go through and price everything individually. So I got those. And then I also got a 4-volume set of Don Quixote or Quixote. Is that how you say it? And it's from 1910 and it's a 4-volume set. And so, comps that I've looked up on that look like probably around $200 for the set. So that one will go to my booth, or that set.
That's so cool.
So, but I mean, that book, I was showing it to my son and we were just both like, that's older than the United States of America. That's just like, it's hard to fathom that. And it's in such good condition. And, everything about it looks right for the time period. I mean, I'm 99% sure it's not like some reproduction or anything. I mean, all the pages, the page count. And I mean, I found one example of it at like a used bookstore from England online, and it pretty much matched exactly. So, but yeah, that was that's one of my favorite finds I've ever found. I mean, I don't know if I'll get what I'm asking online for it. I listed it at 725, but I've with what I got in, and I can take offers, but it's like it's not one of a kind, but it's certainly probably not a lot of them floating around.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Well, if I had that kind of book in my, it'd be at the very bottom of my death pile. I mean, I'm glad you know that stuff, Stewart, because we don't. But wow, that's a great find for you personally. Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's an old gem.
Well, to be honest, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that a book from 1738 is probably worth something. You don't have to know a whole lot about books to.
Well, but the key to it is getting it listed. You see, that's the key to it. Can you get it listed? But Johnny, you kind of hopped in here very last minute this evening. You were talking about your work and just a long day. Are you really wanting to work your store this evening after you get off here?
No, not at all. And I'm not going to.
I mean, it makes for very long days, don't it?
It kind of puts you in a funk a little bit, right? Because this is when it feels like a job, right? And this is when you're just kind of not over it, but you're temporarily over it, right? Like I don't want any responsibility. I don't want to ship anything. I don't want, we have, I don't know, like 5 orders that have to go out tomorrow, right? So I got to pull those and it's just like when you're not in the mood, you're not in the mood and it goes on, but whatever. It comes in phases, right? I mean, it's like anything, you get sick of it, you get burnt out for a little bit, you come back, you're good, but you just got to stay consistent and work through it.
Well, mine is now stacking upon me not finding good things I've sourced. I'm having problems at yard sales, and now I've got this death pile. I come home to try to make myself feel better Saturday because I was like, let me look through my own stuff and see if I can rebuy it, and trying to trick myself. But, going to AMVETS kind of picked me back up because we did find several things. But, Stewart, I will tell you this now, and you'll see it in the video. There's a sign there. They had a ton of hats. I was like, oh, man, these are great. I mean, these are all kinds of sports hats and everything. And I was probably going to pick up 15 of them. And for $1.98, I get up to the register, and the lady, she starts ringing them up, and I see these different prices coming up: $1.98, $1.98, $5.98, $5.98. And I said, whoa. I said, what is $5.98? She goes, oh, well, our manager just told us today we have to ring up all the sports hats at $5.98.
Yeah, see, AMVETS has completely changed in the last month. I mean, they've had new management come in. They've really, they've changed the way they price stuff. I mean, I'll find stuff they've priced now that they're priced at higher than I could sell it in my booth. I mean, they've probably looked on eBay, saw somebody had something listed. They're not even probably looking at sold listings. And, I'll make it clear. I mean, that kind of stuff doesn't make me mad because it's their prerogative to do whatever they want to do. But to me, it's just not a winning strategy. I mean, like if I ran a thrift shop, I would price everything by category. Hats are this, shirts are this, glassware's this, because I would understand that I'm catering to resellers. I mean, that's a big audience. I mean, when I go to AMVETS, I mean, a lot of the people I see are there every day, just like I am. And I think by pricing that way, you're going to move a lot more stuff. And then also it's going to keep people coming back because they find that treasure. And, that's just me. I think when you start trying to cherry pick and price certain things high, now, on the flip side of that, I know they probably sell some of it at that price too. So, but I just think if you took, over a year, if you took how much you sell, pricing it this way versus this way, I would venture to guess you're going to make more money pricing everything at a, by category at a consistent level. But
that's what we laugh at our store because, they're obsessed with like Calvin Klein and Tommy Hilfiger, right? And so all Calvin Klein and all Tommy Hilfiger is priced up. people aren't buying that at regular price. Like you're missing the boat. Like, we find gems every time we go in there that we can sell for 50, 60, 70 plus. And you don't even know about those brands. And we're glad you don't. But like, it's a shirt. It's this price. You know what I mean? And it's almost like a whatnot strategy, right? Like just move it. Move it. You're going to make more money that way. Because I'll tell you, if something, like, Wes, going to your hats, right? Like if all those hats are $2, I'm buying all of them. Had you known most of those were $6, you might not have bought any of them. I mean, even the $2 hats that you were going to buy. And I think it just discourages people. I'd rather someone go in and snag 10 shirts for $20 than decide, no, this is too expensive. We're not buying anything.
Well, and that's what I said to her. And like you said, Stewart, I said, well, ma'am, you're free to do whatever you all need to do here. I said, but there is one thing that's not good. I said, on your sign over there says $1.98. It doesn't say $5.98 for whatever. I said, you need to get a sign up so people know, and they don't take their time sorting through everything and then get up to the cash register and get surprised like I just did. I said, I'm not taking the hats. I left every single one of them.
Yep, exactly. And look what you just lost in revenue.
Mm-hmm.
I don't get that.
Again, they're free to do what they want, but I'm also free to do what I want, so
I just don't understand that business model. Like you're getting a constant flow in for free.
Well, that's
and I'm all for business.
Oh, sorry, Johnny.
No, I just I'm all for corporate America making money. It's a business. I'm thankful that they're there and they're open, but God, I think there's a better model than, or Stu, to your point, like cherry picking everything. Like just get it up, get it out. You got more coming in.
Well, when they're pricing clear glass at, $6, $8, I mean, nobody's going to buy that at that price. But, if they priced it all at 99 cents, maybe they'll sell one or two pieces, but then you're going to have, 12 left behind. Or if you priced it all at 99 cents or $1.98 or something, you're more likely to sell it all. So you've really made more money in the end.
Yep.
I mean, and I'm hoping, because I still go in there mainly for the books and the t-shirts. I mean, because their t-shirts are still $3.98, books are still 79 cents. And, when they start cherry picking books, and based on something, and I mean, most of the books I get, I mean, I'm not finding books that are worth hundreds of dollars. I mean, I did get lucky and found that children's set, but, most of them are like books I put in my booth for $4, so it's just kind of volume to put in my booth because people love to come in and look at books. But if they start pricing those books at $4, I'm not going to buy them, and probably nobody else will either.
Yep.
So let's drift back where we were just a second, talking about our stores and trying to think of it as a physical brick and mortar, like Jimmy was saying. Stewart, the places you have, on average, how much time do you spend at each location, or how do you manage that? I'm kind of curious in comparing your eBay store at your house, whatever, everything, your death pile and all that stuff. How much time do you spend per place, if you could put it in numbers?
Yeah, so I tend to go, and it's funny. I have a Monday morning whatnot chat show I do, and that was the topic this last Monday was antique booths, and had a lot of good engagement during that show of people who were looking to get antique booths and who had questions. But I mean, I tend to, so just from like trips to each one, I go to the two Knoxville locations typically twice a week. I'll go on Tuesday, and I usually don't take anything out there on Tuesday unless I might take a couple of things, but I'm really going out there Tuesday to like just see what all sold, see if I've got any big holes, so then I kind of know what to take when I go back on either Thursday or Friday. So that's the two Knoxville booths. I go to each one of them on average twice a week, and I'm there maybe, as far as like being on site there, usually 30 minutes, maybe an hour if I've got a lot of stuff to put out. And then my one in Clinton, I typically go there once a week. And it's either if I'm working, I just wait and go. When I go on Saturday morning when I'm working, and I'll just go early so I'm the one who opens up usually. And if I'm not working, I'll typically go on Friday. Now, as far as like prep time and stuff, when I decide to take something to the booth, I have like a holding area on some bookshelves outside my office here, and that's where everything that's going to the booth goes. And in my spreadsheet, I have it where I can sort it, and everything gets an inventory number. I print that out on labels, then I stick it on there, and that usually I probably spend on average somewhere between an hour and 2 hours, I guess, here at home, like processing stuff to take to the booth. And then, another 30 minutes to an hour, so we'll say, another 2 hours a week, visiting the 2 Knoxville booths, and not counting the time I work in Clinton, but, another hour, well, probably more than that, because it takes me 30 minutes each way to drive to Clinton. So probably an hour and a half to 2 hours. So, 4 or 5 hours a week, probably. So it's not a big number. And I mean, the thing I like about booths is it's passive income. And we're fortunate here in the Knoxville area. I know some areas don't have antique malls at all, or they don't get good traffic, but we have so much tourist traffic coming through that, that especially Clinton gets a lot of that transient tourist traffic. And there's some that comes through Knoxville. I mean, the Knoxville booths are a lot more like of Sequoia Hills West. I mean, you'll be familiar with that. It's like people, interior decorators looking for furniture and artwork and stuff, where I would categorize Granny's as more, that's where I sell more like smalls, because it's people coming through, they're looking for something like a keepsake to take home with them. So you don't sell quite as much big stuff. I mean, although you do get people decorating their houses on Norris Lake who come in looking for furniture and stuff. So I mean, it's not, obviously you spend a lot of time on the front end, like setting your booth up. So when I first go into a mall, I mean, you got to get all your shelving and however you're going to arrange the booth. And, there could be a significant capital investment, if you don't own anything like display cases or shelves or anything like that. But yeah, I feel for what I get out of it, it's not overly time intensive. I mean, I look at it almost as passive income, versus the time I spend listing things is a lot more.
Right.
Do you get notified when things sell? Or is there like an end of day, like a report or something? Or
no, I mean, I know some antique malls do. None of mine are that high tech. I mean, I get, usually like I'll call down to Clinton middle of the week and say, hey, can you send me a picture of my books? I mean, everything there's just handwritten.
Yeah.
The closest one West End here in Knoxville, they put it into a computer, but I mean, once again, she just takes a picture of the computer screen and sends it to me. So.
Well, I was also thinking about the reseller rally. Have y'all heard about that going on right now? Getting ready to start.
Yeah.
Now I know eBay Open was this week. I didn't know about the reseller rally.
Saw that too.
Yeah, the reseller rally is happening up in Cincinnati, and they're all starting to gather up there.
So who runs that? Is it?
I don't know if Cincinnati Picker or somebody has anything to do. I'm sure he probably does.
Yeah. Yeah, it's him and the Craigslist hunter.
Yeah.
And then
I know Kevin's doing he's doing an auction up there. Everybody's been donating items to him, and he's been collecting them. And they're going to auction all those things off for, I think, St. Jude or one of those places. But yeah, they're all gathering up there. And I started thinking about that. It's hard for a part-timer to go to those things. So we got to come up with a part-timers rally. We have to only do half a day on Saturday, and that's it.
That's it. From 6 to 9.
Yeah. Everybody, please leave. You're not going to stay anywhere. You got to be home to get ready for work the next day.
Exactly.
Someday.
I
have been thinking, Wes, it'd be fun to do some kind of East Tennessee meetup of some sort, maybe one weekend. Just I run into quite a few regular resellers out at yard sales and estate sales, and I know there's a few people who do YouTube videos who are in this area. I mean, they're not like big time or anything, but I mean, that might be a fun way to get together and, either have just an informal get together or do a little program or, something like that, just to bounce stuff off each other.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we like you said, there's several in this area within just a few hours drive. You know, we could all somehow get together. Johnny, you're going to have to get on your hooves now and get over here.
Yeah, just just coming around the mountains.
Well, you probably want to do what you did the Florida game weekend last year, right? You want to come over here and not get a ticket.
Exactly.
Just throw money everywhere, you know.
Yeah, I'll just sit at Fat Tuesdays with a frozen daiquiri and just
funny. So, I was also thinking too. How did y'all do yard sale wise this weekend? Did you get out?
And just on Friday, and that's where I went to a few yard sales, but that one estate sale was the main thing I went to and bought those books. But yeah, I didn't. Now this weekend, speaking of yard sales, I may have mentioned this last week, but my two brothers and I were doing a brothers weekend this weekend up on Chickamauga Lake. Kind of, it's one past Watts Bar. It's closer to Chattanooga, but it'll be kind of our first annual brother/yard selling get together because we're all three big yard sellers, and so my one brother who lives here in Knoxville, we're gonna get up early Friday morning, and there's actually a couple of neighborhood yard sales here in West Knoxville, and we're gonna hit those and then kind of wander down I-75 or the back roads of I-75 and see what we see that way. And then my youngest brother will be there Friday night, and we're going to get up Saturday morning and hopefully yard sale, all morning and into the early afternoon, then be back at the lake house in time to watch the Tennessee-South Carolina game.
Which that's probably going to be an interesting game for your Vols.
I don't know what to expect. We'll see.
Spencer Rattler gets hot, they're going to be in trouble maybe. What do you think?
I did hear today they have 7 offensive linemen hurt that aren't going to play.
South Carolina?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And that's, one of Tennessee's strengths is their quarter. They lead the nation in sacks and tackles for losses. So their South Carolina's weakness right there does play a little bit into Tennessee's strengths. So,
well, give us your reseller game prediction. Let's hear the score.
Oh, what, Vols by 50? No, I think it'll be 35, like 35-21 range Tennessee. So, we'll see. I always go in thinking Tennessee's going to win, Wes. So,
I understand.
Wes, I just had a thought. I had a question for you.
Okay.
Have you ever thought of taking the slim flippers and turning the I's into Y's and the S into a Z?
So nobody can find him?
Now, Johnny, I can see that you're bothered by that.
I just wanted to know. I was like, he's got a lot of juicy I's and an S there that need to be turned into Y's and Z's.
Well, see, I'm keeping the two separate. See, get the Z's and the Y's over here, and the I's and the S's over here.
I was wondering if you wanted to be known as the slime flippers.
Slime flappers. Flippers.
Hey.
Well, if nothing else, Johnny, it is our name is very memorable on this podcast for sure. And obviously, it's got you, because you well, you come up with the name. I just I put some pizzazz on it.
I can never remember how to spell it. It's like...
Well, you got to see my sheet. I'm trying to sit here and write it down. I did the iteration of it, and I'm like, I'm lost in it, so I don't know how to spell it either. But I think, however, on our little icon there, it's spelled however we spelled it. I don't know. Somebody look it up and tell us. It's all about the name, though, Johnny. Everything's in the name, right?
Yeah, I agree. That's why you should be the slime flippers.
Hey, next one we have, I'll have that iteration up for you. I'll take care of that.
I think there could be some pretty cool logo ideas if you're the slime flippers.
The slime flippers. Now, I'll change my name to Wes, W-E-S. W-E-Z, sorry. And Stewart will be Zurich. Ooh, Johnny, you've already got a Y in yours. Look at that.
Yeah, see, you're falling behind.
Yeah, I am behind.
Well, I can put a Z on the end of Ventures. You know,
You know, I sitting there looking at our colors on the screen here. Man, we've got some nice colors going on. Look at this.
oh, here you go. I can put a Y right in the hill there, and then
there you go.
Z at the end of Ventures. So
yeah. All right, the next one we have, I want everybody Y's and Z's. Okay, we gotta. It's just a nod. We're just, giving a nod. So, Johnny, you're going on vacation next week, correct?
Yeah. This we're flying out Friday night. We're going to Boston, and then we're actually going to drive up to New Hampshire, and go to a Goodwill Bins location that we have never been to. So, excited about that, and we're gonna play tourist, but also get our thrift on a little bit.
Now, have you done your homework and scoped out that bins? How big is it?
Yeah, so there is a YouTuber, her name is Lori Tata, and we watch her because she does a lot of women's clothing, and it's her Goodwill Bins. So we've seen it on TV before. So we've got our strategy. We're putting on our running shoes, and we're gonna get it.
Okay.
So you gonna come live? You gonna come live from Boston on the podcast next week?
Yeah, and I'm just gonna be like, oh, I'm wicked excited to show you guys what I found.
That's good stuff. Now I'll be going.
I'll work on that.
Do what?
I'll work on that. It's not there yet, but
you can set up shop somewhere out there in Boston and give us your best Boston accent you can give us.
Yeah. You guys won't know if I'm reselling khakis or car keys.
Khakis or car key.
And you have to throw a bunch of 4-letter words in there too. It's funny. Yeah. My very first experience, I'm born and raised in the South, and my very first experience with like any number of Northern people was that my first job was at Deloitte & Touche in Nashville, one of the accounting firms, and they had just moved their entire data center down from Wilton, Connecticut to Nashville, and they brought a bunch of the people. So pretty much everybody who worked there was from Connecticut but me. And it took me like a couple of weeks to figure out, when they're like, using the F-bomb when they're talking to me, that didn't mean they were mad at me. It was like, it's just an adjective. So, but it was just different than what I was used to in the South, so. But I've learned people from all over are no different. There's friendly people and there's mean people everywhere you go. So
Johnny, let's push this idea over to you, and let's get your take on it. What do you think about a meetup for some of us in this region? What do you think about that? Because we didn't. I don't think we got your opinion on that.
I'm in. It would be nice if there was a Vols game I could go to that weekend, but yeah, we'll make it happen. I feel like Knoxville is a big enough area to have enough people,
Well, I think so too. If we could get Nashville Flippers to come over and some other people, they're in the area, and there's some more over there in North Carolina for sure. I don't know. What do you think, Stewart? What do you think you could pull off?
I don't know, in all my spare time, but
you have more than we do.
I don't know. We need a powwow about it and start thinking of, first be kind of, I'd figure out how many people are, I guess right in the Knoxville area in general, then how, once you get over towards Nashville and then on up into North Carolina, Tri-Cities, those areas, I'm sure there's a lot of resellers. And I just know in general, especially being a full-time reseller, you got to take your social opportunities when you can get them. And that's what I enjoyed so much about going to like Boss Reseller Remix and Camp Listing Party and some of those others, is that when you're down in your basement all day, and your biggest social experience of the day is going to MVets, it's nice to get with other like-minded people and who think like you, because, a lot of people don't get reselling. They don't really understand it. And, they think you're stealing from the poor and all this kind of stuff. And so, it's nice when you can get with your tribe.
And Wes and I, who had to interact with people all day, are just thinking how nice it would be to be in a quiet, lonely basement for a couple hours.
Well, yeah. I think, and we've talked about this, and I've talked about it on my Slim Flippers podcast too. Networking is definitely where it is. You have to build relationships. And unfortunately, I have not been able to get to, either FlipCon or the Reseller Rally or any of these other things. And I'd like to really get out there and meet some of these people that I've been able to talk to, and just kind of talk with them face to face. I think that would be fun. But we do need to start off, I believe, regionally, just kind of like in our area, and get to know some more people, Stewart, Johnny, that are around us, because I don't, I know that the Bearded Finds and those guys, they're around the North Carolina area, so. But anyway, I think it'd be fun to pull something off anyway. And I'm not sure how that would work, but like you said, Stuart, brainstorming would be essential to getting that started anyway, and just have a conversation about it.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm not looking to recreate any kind of like reseller conference. It's more just an informal get together, and
right.
Maybe if you meet at a restaurant, maybe you can get a private room, and you can have somebody get up and talk about something, but not like a multi-day or anything like that. I have no desire to try to coordinate anything of that magnitude. So,
are there any like cool breweries or anything?
Oh yeah, there's a lot of breweries in downtown Knoxville, and even right like out in some of the surrounding areas as well. So yeah, there's definitely, or just get together and play trivia one night or something. That would be fun.
What
would be good.
Resellers play. Resell trivia.
I don't know. I've got a lot of useless crap floating around in my head. So, but yeah, if you could get it to be some kind of regular deal that you did, whether it's once a month would probably be too much, but once every couple of months, once a quarter, you just get together and have dinner and, drinks or whatever you want to do. And, really just get to know other people. And like you said, then that's relationships. That's people you can reach out to, for support, questions, whatever. But building that network of other resellers is really important.
Now we had talked off camera earlier today. I'm kind of shifting gears here. The fourth quarter, it's here. I mean, it's coming on. Have you all seen any shifts toward that fourth quarter, or are you just kind of still stuck in the mud right now?
I mean, my sales have really been good the last couple of weeks. And some of that's because I've really been focused on listing. And I think I heard one of the guys on your Slim Flippers podcast kind of allude to this. I mean, there's definitely such thing as the summer slowdown, but I think it's a combination. Not only are people maybe not buying as much, but typically, if you're a reseller, you're going on vacation, potentially you're doing other stuff too. So you're probably not listing quite as much either. So probably the combination of those two things, as much as anything, is what causes your, quote, summer slowdown. Because I've always wondered if you spent the same focus during the summer listing as you did in fourth quarter. I mean, you might see some drop off, but would it be as dramatic? So I don't know. But yeah, as far as my sales, and it really corresponds with when I started trying, got really serious about, focusing on my online shops, because I do get guilty sometimes of putting more focus on the boost because it is easier. But I've started tracking like how many I list every day and how many I sell each day. And, since I've been tracking that, it's not really a true sell-through rate because it's not related to how many things have listed, but I mean, I'm generally listing anywhere between 70 to 90% of the, however many I list, I'm selling like 70 to 90% of that same number. So it definitely is leading to an uptick.
Stewart, do you think about, and Wes too, do you think about the dollar value of what you're posting or more just the quantity of what you're posting?
Well, I definitely think about the dollar value. Now, the way I'm tracking it, I'm just tracking it on quantity. But, I've hit some pretty good sales during that time as well. And hopefully somebody will buy this book for $725. That'll be awesome. But, I mean, just with the kind of stuff I sell, it's somewhat of a volume game. I mean, I think I've mentioned this before. I mean, I sell a lot of things between $12 to $30. I mean, and that's online, that's at my booth. That's just one of my sweet spots I sell in, and I just sell a lot of it. And I try to hit those $70 to $150, at least have a couple of them a month to help, move you towards where you need to be. But I definitely I'm not only focused on big dollar items.
I'm quantity as well. I'm just trying to move some product. I'm basically trying to create me some more space because I'm about at the end of where I can go until and I said this the last time, until I have to either sell off, like have a yard sale myself, or try to get on Whatnot, or build a building or have one brought in, because that's where I'm starting to eat toward. And I watched some of yours the other day, Stuart. I saw you on Whatnot. I wished I could do that, and I don't. It's not that I can't. It's just that it's like Johnny, you were talking about earlier, the time. We just don't have the time to parlay over into doing that part of it as much as I would like to. Now, probably next summer, that would be a thing that I could probably do.
Yeah.
During the summer. I don't know.
As I mentioned, once you get rolling with it, it's not, I mean, I tend to go during the week, and I mean, there's nothing that says you have to go every week. It's just, there's definitely a direct correlation. I mean, it's probably no different than online. I mean, the more you work your booth, I mean, and literally that can mean moving, I moved this item from this shelf to this shelf and it sells. I mean, nothing else changed. Just moving stuff around sometimes leads to sales. So yeah, obviously the more you can go, the better. But I mean, there's a lot of vendors at the malls who do really well, who come once every 3 weeks, once a month. They just bring a bunch of stuff in and fix their booth up, when they come in, and then they don't come back for a whole month and they do fine. So it's, you don't necessarily have to be out there, a couple of hours every week.
Right. Well, I'm hopeful one day to get on Whatnot. And I know, Johnny, you said you had done it there for a little while.
I mean, Frizzy does 1 or 2 shows a week. I was doing a hat show. It started off to sell hats. We were doing a hat show every single week, and then it just hit a point where like the market on it just crashed, and there was more sellers, and we were making $400 a show, and then we were fighting to make like 150 a show, and it was a lot of work and effort versus what the return on it was. And then it just became harder and harder to source hats. We used to go to the Goodwill bins, and I'd come home with 20, 30 hats every single day. And, now if I go, I come home with 2 or 3 at most, just with more people going at them and stuff like that. So I was getting stressed out trying to find hats to do, to do a show, and it wasn't worth it. But, Frizzy does it once, if not twice a week. And I mean, she kills it.
Now, is this her channel here?
Yeah.
Okay. I just followed her. Yeah. And what to be honest, one of the main things I like about Whatnot, it's something that Amy and I do together. We do most of our shows together. I mean, I do my Monday morning chat show by myself because she's at work, but We do our Friday night ephemera shows. It's us together, and it's just something that, she can participate in on the reselling side because she's an integral part of the business.
Yeah.
Even though, she's not the one listing, but, she helps source. She helps keep me organized is the biggest thing. I mean, the booths are a good example. I spend all month junking them up, just taking stuff and throwing it in there. She comes out there once a month and gets it looking good again. So
I tell you, Wes, if I made the decision to go full time, it would be because of Whatnot. I mean, just to really go down that avenue and hit that avenue hard. Like you look at Flip the World Texas, who's, he's a thing now, right?
Right.
SSK Promo, what's up?
He's
a character, but I mean, he's doing over $2,000 a week in profit.
Wow.
I mean, so if you can really, he goes to the bins and does, he actually does his Whatnot shows from the Goodwill bins.
Oh, wow.
And he'll show something in it. Does anybody want this? And if it's no, he just throws it back and doesn't buy it. But I mean, he's making $100,000 a year on Whatnot at the Goodwill bins. Like, I mean, that would be kind of how you'd have to do it without, a YouTube paycheck and, a warehouse full of 5,000 listed items and stuff like that.
Is that pretty much the way all his shows are?
Yeah.
It'd just be, I guess the only fear there, you just wonder what would happen if Goodwill ever decided, hey, we're not going to let you do that.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, there's a huge risk to it. But he always said if they ever kicked him out that he would just source and take it home. But
yeah,
there's definitely a risk with it. I mean, I think about it all the time. Like, what if Goodwill's close? Like, what do I do?
Yeah, and I have seen other people doing similar things. Either doing it, I saw somebody doing it at a flea market, almost exactly the same thing. They were walking around the flea market with their camera and whatnot, and picking stuff up. Does anybody want this? And then they would literally negotiate with the dealer, like what. I mean, before they bought, they would buy it before they ran it. But if somebody wanted, they would negotiate with that person. And then a lot of times the vendor there would get, they would realize, hey, I can sell a lot of stuff here if I put my prices right. So
right. SSK Promo said there that is a brilliant strategy that Chris has. Yeah, he really is. It is a great strategy that he does, and he uses that. He's an interesting character.
I mean, the great thing about Whatnot too is, there's so many creative people that have come up with different ways to sell. It's not just, I tend to be more just Amy and I are sitting there and, we preload everything. Although, I've done some unboxings and done really well with those, and I've done some choice things. My best show ever was the political button show that my brother and I did. And we made thousands and thousands of dollars over 2 nights. But most of my shows are, I load everything in my catalog just like I load it into eBay, and people request what lots they want me to run, and we go through a show like that. So, but yeah, it's just like anything. No matter what kind of personality you like, you can find somebody like that on Whatnot. You can find somebody that you like their selling style.
So, Stewart, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to pack up 25 items out of my death pile, and I'm going to come over there, and I'm going to get you to help me run a show for 25 items, and then we're done. What do you think?
Hey, that sounds fine to me. I've actually run some other I've run some shows with people. I can't promise you how successful they'll be once we get outside the ephemera category, but hey.
Yeah, but see, I'm a visual learner. I have to see this in action to actually get it and understand it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Wes,
we can do that. If you want to do it, Wes, just let me know what night, and you can come over and we can run a Whatnot show out of my worldwide Whatnot studios here.
Let's do it.
Wes, do you have any old family photo albums you're looking to get rid of? Stewart's your guy.
Yeah, that's true. I can find some for sure.
Sorry, Grandma.
It's still
I have to go check my cupboard.
still blows Amy's mind that people like buy other people's photos. You know,
I love going to the Goodwill and you see like a wedding photo and you're like, well, we know how that ended up.
Okay, so what we need to do is we need to have a whatnot show as we're running this reseller roundtable. What do you think? Can you pull it off? Well, that would be confusing.
We just start bringing stuff over.
Yeah. Hey guys, here's our first item. It's basket.
I do have this. It is a USC, but it's like a frat shirt.
It's like Sigma Chi or something. It looks like, man.
Yeah, it's just sitting in a death pile.
I noticed you could reach to it very quickly. It's
all right here. That's why there's this orb around.
Why don't you put it on there real quick, Johnny?
See what happens.
I don't know, guys. There's a mark on it. I don't know.
Johnny's like, I'm keeping that.
Yeah.
Well, I can assure you, I am not keeping this 1961 gem.
I thought you were going to use that
box. Look at that. I mean, it's in great shape. You know?
I thought you were going to use that for coaching to draw up plays.
Well, now I could do that, Johnny. I think you were behind the curtain when I showed this, so I'm gonna have to re-show this part. Now you're gonna be amazed by this. Look at how it keeps score. You just roll this thing up here. Look at that.
Man,
I mean, I know you're
technology
excited.
on that, light years ahead.
I mean, look at that. Isn't that great?
That's pretty good.
Here's a little basketball.
Is it like? But how do you? Is it like does the ball fall into a circle and you like flick it?
Well, it's got this board and it's got metal pieces. Yeah, and I guess you
mm-hmm.
Yep.
You flick it, but I don't think it flicks very well. That must be the part that's 1961 because it's not flicking very well. We'll have to take a second and third look like they used to do on that Johnny Major show. Remember Stewart, John Ward? Let's take a second look. Let's take a third look. So
sometimes Johnny would misunderstand. So let's take a third drink. But
yeah, for sure. SSK promo. He's going to be with me next week on the Slim Flippers. I talked to him earlier today, and he's heading to the reseller rally in Cincinnati. So I'm glad to see he was checking us out there. That's neat to see for sure. Now him and Jimmy have evidently started up their podcast again. They'd stopped it because they'd got over like 60 something episodes in, and then they kind of paused it there for a while. But I think they're coming back to do theirs. So we wish them all the best for sure in what they're going to be doing.
What are we, 5? We're 5 episodes in, aren't we?
Yes, this is episode 5. We're going strong. And, I'm glad that we're off and running because, hey, look here. We got that many now, right? On one hand. SSK, he's still checking us out. SSK, thank you for checking us out. Should be a fun show. I'm hoping so. He'll for sure make it a whole lot better. You know, he's I've seen him on the Nashville Flippers a couple times. And of course he's been in with Jimmy, so I'm excited to see our podcast coming up.
We're looking forward to the Slime Flippers podcast.
The Slime Flippers. Now listen, Johnny, I want you to design me a new logo with that, have slime coming down the mic, and all that kind of stuff.
Just like Slimer.
For sure. So what is your all's weekend? I know, Johnny, you said you were leaving, but between now and then, or even the next time we talk, what do you think your business is going to look like? You're just going to continue. I know, Stewart, you're going to continue doing what you do because you've got your irons in a lot of different fires. It looks like everything you're doing.
I mean, tomorrow my whole day's already tied up with meetings for the IT consulting stuff I do for hospitals. It's not the way I prefer to spend my day, but it just so happens that like there's 3 different customers I'm working with who all wanted to have meetings tomorrow. So won't be doing a lot of reselling stuff tomorrow, but But then Friday I'll leave for the yard selling weekend with my brother. So looking
There you
forward
go.
to that.
And then Johnny's off on his adventure too.
That's right. Yeah. I think for us, we're just lucky that like Frizzy is full time, so she can do all that stuff. I mean, there's definitely a drop off without my help to do more, but she keeps it floating, so we'll be all right.
Well, that is all the time that we have this evening on the Under Slippers resale podcast. You about got me tripped up, Johnny. I about wanted to say Slimer Slippers. But, well, gentlemen, I hope you stay healthy, stay safe out there, and on your endeavors and your trips where you're going, and look forward to talking to you soon again.
Yep, we'll
Sounds
see you
good,
next
sir.
week.
Thank you.
Well, y'all take care.
Bye, guys.
See you, everybody.